Today we're reviewing the bottle that I probably wanted to hate most going into the year, and it is the Woodford Double Oaked. But can it beat my expectations? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever, and today we're going to find out, is the Woodford Double Oak, is this worth the $200 price tag that Woodford has put on it? When I heard that this was going to be $200, I just, be honest, I was beside myself. I don't quite understand why it is $200. There's no age statement on it. It's the same proof as the traditional Woodford Double Oak. That's like, I want to say like $65 here in Virginia. And this one being at $200, I just doesn't make much sense to me. I understand there's more costs that go into a secondary barrel, like that's already expensive double oaking, but that's at $65, and this is involving one more barrel, and it's hard for me to fathom that that extra barrel is causing that much extra cost. But with this having no age statement, no history on the wood, like do they use special wood from some select area of the country that was aged for X amount of time? They don't even mention how long this was double oaked. They just said that it's double oaked a second time. Now, if this was at cask strength, I can maybe comprehend it being closer to that price point, but with it being the same proof point, it also is another reason why it's hard for me to imagine that cost, because you should be able to get more bottles out of the barrel when you water it down. And it's not like Brown-Forman doesn't have the size to spread the cost out over several bottles. You know, they have Old Forester, Woodford, and then they also have Jack Daniels. And Jack Daniels, they have some of the best priced LE bottles. Coy Hill, $85. All of their heritage bottles are around that $80. JD 10 and 12, those were sub $100 bottles. So for that same company to be putting out a non-age dated product, low proofer, that is $200, it's just hard to quite understand. I know there's been a lot of negativity on this bottle. One good thing I will say about this bottle is the fact that it is now nationwide access. This used to be a distillery only release once a year. They were in 375 milliliters at the distillery, but now people across the country, you don't have to travel to Kentucky to be able to buy this bottle. However, I do wish they kept the 375s. I don't need a full bottle of this. 375 is perfect enough for me to get a taste, know what it is, drink through it, and then for me to move on to the next bottle. I do have to give a shout out to my friend for letting me borrow this bottle today and do a review. This is a bottle that I would not have been able to do a review otherwise, because it's just a bottle I would not have bought. But I'm excited to try it today and see, does this bottle beat expectations? I want it to beat expectations because of the cost, but we'll see. All right, cheers. Okay, right off the nose, I get a lot of the traditional Woodford double oak notes, that marshmallow, chocolate, deep chocolate, almost more like aroma. Now this bottle has been open for a while. You can see there's a decent amount of air in there, and I'm not getting extra oak on this, at least off first impression from the traditional Woodford double oak. Unfortunately, I do not own the Woodford double oak. I killed the bottle, and it wasn't one I felt like I needed to buy another of. But now that I have access to this bottle, I think I might have to buy like a 375 small one just to do a side-by-side to see, is there a difference between that $65 to that $200. But yeah, I don't think I'm getting extra oak on this. This to me smells just like a traditional double oak, same notes. It's not more impactful in your face, but it's the same amount that you normally get, I feel like, from those double oaks. But the notes there are really good. The aroma on the Woodford Double Oak, I think, is the best part of the Woodford Double Oak. Those deep, rich oak notes. If you have not had it, if you're a beginner, definitely recommend you go buy just the traditional Woodford Double Oak. Get a 375 if you can because of the price. But I think that's a great bottle for beginners to get into, learn what a double oak marshmallow chocolate aroma is supposed to be. And with the bottle being 90 proof, it's not going to blow your taste buds. Yeah, I'm not getting a lot of fruit notes. This is just a rich, dark chocolate, dark coffee, those richer, darker notes that you typically get from double oaks. But let's go and jump into the palate. Okay, I stand slightly corrected on the palate there. The palate on this is drastically better than the traditional Woodford double oak. That is typically very light, thin. I get a lot of ash note on the back end of those bottles, whereas this is actually a punch full of flavor. To me, this tastes like a cup of coffee. Take away the milk. I normally do a latte myself, but take the milk out, and instead take a chocolate bar, melt it, and kind of just drizzle it into the cup of coffee and take a drink. This is almost exactly what that is. And maybe with that cup of coffee, you're having a couple of pancakes, getting a lot of the breadiness from pancakes, but this thing is doused in maple syrup. Like, you took the whole bottle, dumped it on that pancake, and it basically is like 95% maple syrup. The viscosity of that maple syrup in the mid palate of your tongue is just, I don't know how to describe it, very drastic. And this thing has a nice long finish too. At 90 proof, I was not expecting that long of a finish. That chocolate bitter coffee note always lingering there in the background, and just the amount of flavor that you're getting on this, I would not expect. I would say that it's probably the reason they didn't do this at cask strength. I was complaining earlier that it wasn't a different proof. I bet you if this was at a higher proof, it almost might be undrinkable. That bitterness might be a little too strong in your face, and it really needed added water down to mellow out a little bit there. Yeah, right. The tip of the tongue is that deep, rich maple syrup transitions into that coffee taste in the mid palate, then a little bit of milk, and then the back end finish is just that coffee lingering, burnt chocolate, marshmallow notes. This is an amazing pour. This is definitely a very strong dessert pour. This is not a pour I could drink all the time. Not like, pour a nice little rocks glass, sit down, have a drink. This is definitely something that you kind of want in small doses because just how strong that sweetness is. And I think this would be a great dessert pour. Like after dinner, we'll do a little like nightcap. I think this would be a great pour for that. I'm also getting a lot of tobacco. I think this would be a good cigar pour too, just with how sweet it is. I think it'd pair well if you get a nice mild cigar with this. This might be a good one to go sit in your back porch cigar and smoke, just because that sweetness I think would shine through with the cigar. Yeah, there's a lot of that tobacco in the mid palate. Transition to clove. I'm getting a good amount of clove in that middle to end palate before you have that nice long finish of coffee. Okay, final verdict. Is this bottle, is it worth that $200 price tag? Or did it live up to my lowly expectations of it, given just how much bias I had going into this bottle? It's somewhere in between. This bottle definitely beat my expectations. I had very low expectations going in this, but it is a lot better than what I expected. However, that $200 price tag is very hard to recommend, given all the stuff I talked about earlier, the stats on this bottle. But it is regrettably a good pour. I am really enjoying drinking this bottle. I think it'd be a great bottle to share with people to beat their expectations, because I am really enjoying this. But you have to go into it knowing that it is a double oak. You're gonna get a ton of sweetness, all that coffee. If you do not like coffee, this is probably not the whiskey for you. So I think this actually might be the perfect bar port bottle. It's a bottle you don't need a ton of, but just to get a taste of it, to know what it's like, that rich sweetness, you only really need a little bit of it. And I think it's a cool bottle to experience just for how unique it is and how that double oaking affects the drink of the whiskey. And I think this is a good product of that type of whiskey. But at $200, it is really hard to justify, just because there's so many other $200 bottles that I would rather own. I enjoy more at a higher proof. But if you're one of those who have already purchased a bottle, found on the shelf, and was super excited to buy it, I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. I am really enjoying this pour. But at the end of the day, if I saw this on the shelf, I don't think I could pull the trigger at $200. So that's my review of the Woodford Double Oaked. If you're enjoying this content, before you head out, hit the subscribe button, check out the video, and until next time, cheers.